Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco Dish Out on Movies, the only movie review show on YouTube to review movies in terms of food. And it's just, I want to see how fast I can do that. I want to time myself, just trying to do that over and over and over again until it's just like 1 second and so obnoxious and you can't even understand. Because that's what I feel like a lot of movie reviewers do nowadays. They talk so fast because they're scared that people won't watch their whole videos or something. It's very strange. And so that's the running joke with me. I want to do this faster and faster this year. And that has nothing to do with this video, but whatever. I'm reviewing The Walking Dead Season 10, Episode 2. Today I can't remember the title. Let's just look that up right now. The Walking Dead Season 10, Episode 2 title. Uh, It is called We Are the End of the World. Okay. That's the title of the episode. And it should have been called We Are the End of the Walking Dead because this episode was boring. It has some strong acting. These two actors, the main ones, you have Beta and Alpha. I love them. I think that they are fantastic actors. Beta, he was in Bates Motel, and he did a phenomenal job being this kind of creepy neighbor and then being sort of a friend, if you could call him that, in season 5. I love him in this episode. I love Alpha. She's got some depth to her performance. And of course, The Walking Dead, but I'm not going to give them very much credit because The Walking Dead has always been able to do certain things great. They've always been able to have great zombie kills once in a while. They've always been able to do great villains. In fact, some of the best TV villains ever. Negan, the Governor, those people who would say claimed. Those are some epic and creepy villains. Shane, even though he was a villain, he was a cool sort of anti-hero to me at some points. And then also season premieres. Those are the top 3 things that they are able to do that are really strong. And so it surprised me in this episode. Oh yeah, and Terminus cannibals. Oh my god. They're amazing and cool. And I felt I wanted something like that in this episode, sort of like a really dark, bleak look at this backstory of what comes out of being in this zombie apocalypse situation. But really, what I got was sort of a compilation of scenes. And again, it's sort of a different experience watching these episodes with commercials because commercials just take all of the momentum of the episode out of it. The commercials really ruin television. And so, with this episode, it made it even worse because it was hard to sort of know what's going on. It's jumping around everywhere, and then you have the commercials. It was very hard to watch. But it had some okay moments, and wow, I love the effects. The effects are amazing in this episode, as they were in episode 1. I think this episode is a slight downgrade from the first episode, which isn't surprising, but what was very surprising was just how mediocre it was when you have these great actors and when you have this great story that you can tell with these characters. But yeah, it was just kind of meh to me, which I really hope that I'm not doing that every Walking Dead review, where every episode I'm just like, yeah, it was okay. Because that's what it always feels like I want to say after Walking Dead episodes. Meh. Meh, meh, meh. And then you'll get a great episode, you'll get really hyped, the next episode will be a snooze fest. That's how the show works, and so I'm kind of worried about this season now. I'm not very much of an optimist to begin with, and when you have a show like Walking Dead that's so inconsistent, it makes it even harder to have hope for this season. But that being said, I very much am looking forward to Gamma. Spoiler alert, there's a character that's introduced. Well, I mean, not introduced, but she's sort of created from this episode because she does something to help the group of Whisperers, and they name her Gamma. And that made me very excited. It made me feel like her character, like she could maybe replace Alpha at one point, maybe overthrow her or something. Maybe she will become the new villain after Alpha and Beta get killed or something. I don't know. It's hard to say a lot about this episode because not a lot went on. It was more about sacrifice, about adaptation. We have to be like zombies. I mean, walkers. Excuse me. We have to be like walkers. We can't be people, and we have to sacrifice people who aren't willing to do that, and weakness and all that type of stuff is the main ideas of this episode. But it's just kind of a dull episode. Not a lot goes on, as I said before. There are some cool moments. My favorite moment is probably when the girl thinks that she's going to get killed, and we hear a scream, and then it turns out that she spared her. That was a great moment. It really built suspense, and it was a very horror moment. It's probably been the most horror moment of the season so far, and it makes you kind of look at Alpha differently because she's not a big talker like Negan, and I think that's one of the things that makes it the most interesting is that she communicates very little. She more so communicates with her face and with her eyes and with her body language, and so I think that that's something very cool to explore. But then again, when you're watching a TV show about the zombie apocalypse, which is already a very quiet, desolate, lonely place, it makes it even harder to watch when the main characters aren't very talkative, when the main characters don't really have a lot to them in terms of like dialogue, like, oh, we're people, we like to talk about random stuff. They talk very to the point, and so it made them kind of hard to watch. And that's not a criticism on them, it's more of a weakness to having them be like just have a whole episode about them. You needed some more dialogue, some more scenes where people were trying to be normal within this group, and them sort of standing out when you have these leaders who are very quiet and they're not even like people anymore. And so it's a pretty good episode. It's okay. I give it a C minus. I can't remember what I gave last episode. I think I gave last episode a C plus. This is definitely not an improvement. I give it a C minus. So please like this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to this channel if you want to see more of my Walking Dead reviews. I'm going to be honest. I'm not gonna lie and say this was a great episode if I don't really believe that. And so, and I want to encourage other people to do that, to stop saying everything is great, because that's really a problem with movie and TV reviews nowadays, is that they don't get the criticism that they need. And so they run off of this high where they think that they can do no wrong and that everything they do is good. And so with this episode, it was a big disappointment, especially when you think about what it could have been. It could have been a great episode because The Walking Dead is so good at doing villains. And so, yeah. But it was still a pretty good episode. I mean, I would watch it again if I was doing a binge watch. I'd have no problem watching this again. It's just not very good in terms of being a singular episode standing out from the rest. they did an episode in season 10 that's one of my favorites, and it was all about the kingdom, and nothing really happened. It was just all about living in the kingdom, how they the type of food they eat, and the leader, and he has a tiger, and it was just such a nice little episode that was very contained. But then again, you bring up those are very human characters. The characters in this episode are not very human-like, and they don't really have any hint of being human either, and so it's very hard to watch them. So goodbye, everybody. See you soon.